Are you tired of prepping yet? With 2020 and everything else that we've seen going on this year, crisis fatigue is a real thing. And sometimes it's hard to stay motivated to prepare when all you've done for the last 6 months is prep. So when it comes to being a prepper and somebody who wants to stay prepared, we have to maintain our motivation. And it's not always easy to do because sometimes you just get tired of it. So stick around for the rest of the video. We'll talk about why we're all tired of prepping or why crisis fatigue has set in for some of us and how we can get through that barrier and keep preparing because we all know we need to. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're talking about how some of us might be tired of prepping, and crisis fatigue is definitely setting in across the country, if not the entire planet. With the year of 2020, starting out the way it did, and moving into the phase that we're currently in, everybody is just starting to become almost numb to the concept of things getting worse and worse. Every day something changes, every day there's a new update, and we're starting to basically become conditioned to not necessarily get excited or feel like there's anything that's going to change anytime soon. So if you're preparing for the worst and you're here in 2020 and you're wondering how you're going to get out of your funk while you're trying to make sure you keep moving forward, hit the subscribe button below, because part of this channel is trying to motivate people to prepare. Not just here's what you need to buy or here's what you need to practice, but how do you stay motivated? And how do you get through some of the crisis fatigue that we're all experiencing? Because I know there's days where I have my moments where it just feels like everything is a lot. You know, you have to worry about work and finances, and you have to worry about how you're going to keep preparing, even though there's other phases of your life that you're trying to move into, and it can sometimes be very overwhelming. Now, many newcomers have come to the world of prepping since the beginning of 2020, and those people might be maybe more motivated or more excited than a lot of the old veterans are in the sense of preparedness, because this is nothing new for that crowd. But for everybody who's new to the game, first off, welcome to the community. But second off, keep going with that motivation. Keep moving forward in your preparation, because it's going to eventually help you and it's eventually going to pay off big time, especially if things keep spiraling out of control the way they feel like they are right now. But for those of us who have been doing it for a long time, we're not riding that new wave of motivation and energy for preparedness. It's something we've been doing for a long time now, some of us our entire lives. So this year kind of just justifies or validates some of our thoughts and opinions on why we need to prepare, but it doesn't necessarily help motivate that continuing effort into preparedness. It is a difficult thing to keep going with every single day. And it's something that you have to remind yourself once in a while that it's important and that you have to prioritize it. With this year just getting worse and worse, right now is the worst time to get comfortable. Right now is the worst time to be tired, be fatigued, because honestly, we know things are just going to escalate and get worse come November. And here we are in October, and it's time for us to really make sure we're ramping up and pushing and putting more preparedness into our daily lives than to get comfortable or relaxed or even lazy because of the fact that we've been doing it for so long. Fatigue is a real thing. It's just something that happens no matter what it is you do. You can be fatigued from just a variety of reasons and things that affect you in your life on an everyday basis. And we all started this journey together back in March, right? Now, back in March, everyone was so excited that panic buying ensued, and there was panic buying happening all over the country. And that's the peak level of excitement or motivation to prepare that we probably have seen so far. But for those of us who stuck with it and didn't just turn over the next day and say, okay, I went to Costco, I got my supplies, I don't have to worry about prepping anymore. For those of us who kept going, that motivation tends to falter a little bit at some point. And right now I feel like, and this is just me, it's an opinion, I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel there's a little bit of a lack of motivation in the prepping world right now, because we've all been just hammering it for the last 6 months to the point where we're starting to just get a little bit tired. And there's days where I'm a little bit tired, maybe you're tired as well. So you have to stay motivated. You have to keep preparing. So set yourself goals. The best way to keep motivated is to have goals that you're working toward that you know you need a certain amount of time to accomplish. Maybe you're building raised garden beds in your backyard and you want to have them done by a certain date. Set that date and make sure you have it, because that will keep pushing you to get out there and do more and more before that date arrives. The same thing goes with your food supply. Maybe you don't have as much food as you would like. Budget out and figure out exactly how much food additionally you'd like to add to your inventory on a weekly or a monthly basis, right? If you know that you want to add another 2 months supply of food by the end of next week, then you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to acquire the food, and then you're going to have to store it, and then it gives you that timeline to work with. Schedules and planning is the way that most businesses succeed. And when you look at prepping as almost like your own business, it kind of helps you move forward in it. You want a high return of investment, right? And you want to make sure that you're getting efficiency out of every decision you make. So use your planning, your organization to push yourself further forward, okay? Maybe you don't have as many pairs of socks as somebody who wants to be prepared should have. Go out and get a pair of socks. These are things that are super basic ideas, but if you force yourself to make a list of things that you need to acquire and things that maybe aren't even as interesting as some of the other things, like maybe a solar generator or something like that, even if it's just socks, those are the things that we need to keep pushing ourselves forward with and moving toward. Now, some of the ways you can improve on your motivation and your energy towards prepping also include adding some of those exciting things to your list, okay? So if you have exciting items in the prepping world that you want to acquire that are maybe more expensive or maybe harder to find, those are things that you should definitely put on your list and then work towards as well. Set a date or a goal for acquiring those items and make sure that you try your best to stick to it, and it will help keep you motivated for getting further and further down the road. Yes, some of us have things that we just really want, those unicorn items that we can't necessarily afford right now, but you can work towards it, and having that goal will keep you motivated to keep going and going and going. So that is another way you can do it. I also find that once in a while, just taking a rest from it can actually help motivate you further once you come back to it. A couple days off, relaxing, just enjoying some entertainment, maybe even reading or something like that. Stay away from something that's, I guess I would say nonfiction. Give yourself some time to live in a little bit of the fantasy world and enjoy yourself, so that way you can get back to it and feel like you're restored, or you had a little bit of a break from the, I guess I wouldn't necessarily call it stress, but that pressure that we put on ourselves as preppers to kind of keep going. Because I know I definitely put pressure on myself to acquire more things, to learn more skills, to make more videos, right? But that pressure is good. It's something that keeps you moving. But sometimes you have to release some of that pressure, or else it builds up and builds up and builds up until it explodes. And I think a lot of us know the type of people who maybe got into preparedness back in March and are already done with it now, because they might have just not been able to handle that pressure and they didn't know how to balance themselves, okay? So that's something that's very important. And you know what? Yeah, do I maybe ingest some entertainment revolving around the concept of survival or some kind of apocalyptic situation? Of course, because that's some of my favorite type of entertainment. But watching that doesn't make me feel like it's some kind of a, educational experience. It's more of just an enjoyment factor that's also related to something that I'm passionate about. So those are things to consider. And also, don't forget, community and friendship also means having a good time sometimes. Make sure you spend time with your friends and your family and actually enjoy what you're doing instead of always preparing. If you're always in your garden, or you're always in your shed, and you're always working on new preps and new items for trying to make yourself more self-sufficient, sometimes self-sufficiency leads to being by yourself. And being by yourself too long or too much can then turn you into an antisocial, which then makes it very hard to network and very hard to build community, and have a hard time building some kind of an assistance group in case you ever need it. So just keep those things in mind, because I know that it has been just day after day after day after day of news stories and articles and survival concepts and videos and everything else that we all consume regularly to try to stay ahead. We want to keep on top of these current events and make sure that we know what's happening, but it can be a lot to ingest at times, and sometimes it can wear you down and it can get you a little bit tired of prepping. But don't be tired. Get motivated. Use some of those tricks that I just gave you to try to keep pushing yourself forward, because we need to keep moving, and right now is the worst time to get lazy. Right now is the worst time to get comfortable. Right now is when we should be pushing the hardest. Not back in March when everybody was panic buying, but right now when we know for a fact that things are going to be very contentious here within the next 3 weeks, okay? We're not even talking about a month anymore. This is coming up. We're almost there, okay? And yeah, do I think that something's going to be happening on every street in America? Of course not. But do I think that we all need to make sure that we're prepared in case it comes to your street or in case there's something major that happens that we maybe weren't expecting? Definitely. This is a very strange year, and it's definitely a year that has proven to us that those who are prepared are definitely better off when things go south. So keep that in mind. Stay prepared. Don't get tired, okay? Use some of those tricks, make yourself motivated, and if you have any questions or you need any advice, leave it in the comments below. I'll try my best to get to, but I know there's a lot of other people in the comments who will help you out as well. There's a great community here that everybody's willing to help each other out and lend a hand. So ask questions, ask for advice, and we'll do our best to get to you. I promise, okay? And if there's anything else you ever need from me, contact me through my website, and I try my best to get back to every single one of you. Sometimes not in the most timely fashion, but I do have a real job, I promise. So, if anything else at all, comment below. Besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prep.